We are taking a look back in history this morning at perhaps a less well-known story that dates back more than 200 years. This is the story of Abigail Adams, wife to the second U.S. President, John Adams, and her savvy business style. We're going to learn more right now through her greatest admirer. John Adams joins us this morning. Mr. President, good to see you. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Logan.
So let's talk about Abigail. Tell me a little bit about her. How did you meet?
Well, when she was 15 and I was 24, we met at her house because I was dating her older sister.
I see.
And immediately she appealed to me because of her energetic wit and a very, very individual style. I called her my saucy girl.
Right.
And Abigail's parents were aghast that I would be dating the older daughter as well as Abigail, because their daughters would be marrying down. You see, Abigail's father was a congregational minister, whereas I was a lawyer, which was considered a profession several tiers below that of a minister.
I see.
Even then. And Abigail and I fell in love. And when she was 18, she asked her father permission to marry me, and he said, no, absolutely not. And finally, after much persistence, he gave in, and we were married when she was just 3 weeks shy of 20, and I was 29.
Was the 9-year difference a problem back then?
No, I think I think it's typical that women are much younger than men. Even today, I think the average difference is about 5 years, and it's all based upon the position that women want to marry a man who is more knowledgeable and sophisticated than they are. And they look at the available males of their own age and they decide they're all clueless. And so they should marry someone who's older. Now, what happens, of course, 5 years into the marriage, they realize that the person that they married is also clueless, but then it's too late to do anything about it,
Right.
isn't it?
Now, she was very savvy in business. Talk about some of the things she did.
Well, she was extraordinarily savvy, and one of the things that she did was, while I was ambassador and a delegate in all these different places for about 10 years, she stayed at home and she managed the family finances. And we're one of the few founding father families which had money, who ultimately ended up with money. I'll give you an example. When I was ambassador to Paris, I would get a salary from the Continental Congress, and I found a bank that had an arrangement with a bank in Boston, and I would put the money in that bank, and so it would be in her account in Boston. The first time I did it, I thought, well, isn't that great? I brought you that money. And she said, John, don't send me cash. I'm in Boston. There's a war on. There is nothing we can buy with that money. You, on the other hand, you're in Paris. You're in Paris. Buy something in Paris, send it by diplomatic mail, and I will sell it in Boston.
Interesting.
Buy something wholesale, buy something you can fold up, something decorative, something a woman would like. So with those instructions, I went out on Parisian streets. I found a haberdasher's, and I had everything on the counter, and there was a beautiful handkerchief. And I looked at it, and the person said, well, these just came from Barcelona. How many would you like? And I said, well, how many do you have? He said, well, we have at least 20. I said, well, you don't have any? Well, I just got the shipment. And so we went in the back of his store, and there were 3 huge boxes full of Barcelona handkerchiefs, 350. I bought them all. I sent them to her. In 2 weeks, she sold them all, and she made enough money to buy a carriage, which we desperately needed. And ever since then, I was always shipping her stuff.
Wonderful stories. Mr. President, if somebody wants to hear more of these stories, I know you're going to be providing something tomorrow night, and we've got it there. It's Thursday, October 3rd, 6:30. This is at the Webb Dean Stevens Museum. You see the address there, Main Street in Wethersfield. I believe this is free. If anybody wants to come on out, they can hear more about you and Abigail, right?
I think there's a sort of a cocktail reception. I hope they have some hard cider for me.
Oh, I think so.
At 6 o'clock, but at 6:30, everyone can just come in and I'll tell stories about my wife, Abigail Adams.
Good to meet you.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks so much.